Welcome to Destination Wedding Planning Made Easy, where your team at Destination Weddings Expert talks about all things weddings. Join us as we talk about tips, tricks, and those all too easy pitfalls to avoid when planning your big day. Okay, welcome back to Destination Wedding Planning Made Easy. You have the team from Destination Weddings Expert here. I am Mario. You got here Nikki and Jody. Hello, ladies.
Hi.
Hi. All right. So let's dive into it. Today, we're talking about, this is like one of the easiest topics that also is probably one of the most complicated ones and probably one that's a little concerning for guests. I think guests are more concerned about this than anyone else, right? So today we're going to be talking about transportation and how we manage transportation for your group, what you can expect when you hire us, so that you understand that your guests are getting to the property safe, they're getting back to the hotel safe, and why we do some of the things that we do, right? Because it's, this is handled a little bit differently than if you go on and you book your trip on Expedia, and there's a couple different factors that go in there, right? So I think the first thing I want to talk about is, why do we schedule the transportation? Why don't we leave it up to the guests? So, Nikki, why do we handle the transportation for the guests?
Well, we know more about it in each destination. We know more about it. We know um, that, yes, some groups with other people let their guests, oh, you booked your room, get a transfer, take a cab, here's where we're going to be. We know and we understand how stressful this can be. And honestly, it's a lot of work on our end to make sure that we have everyone's flight information. We schedule them according to no stops, no strangers. Here's where you're going with our preferred vendors, people I would send my children on the transfer with,
Mm-hmm.
even if I wasn't there.
Right.
So left on your own, it's not like in the United States. Like it's just not, the Holiday Inn van is not circling the airport waiting, to pick you up and take you over there. We do it because it is a better experience for the group overall. They know who to reach out to, and it's safer.
Yep.
It's really just better when you know who your family and friends are being taken care of by, and who to ask, like, oh, Aunt Helen's not here yet. Where is she? Well, let me find out.
I think one thing that you said there, that it's one thing if you're an avid traveler and you're used to traveling internationally and you know where to go and things like that. But for someone who is not as used to traveling all the time, and definitely someone who's never traveled internationally, someone who listens to the news all the time and thinks that Mexico is the most dangerous place in the world, you want to make sure that they are comfortable in their arrival. They know where they're going. It is overwhelming when you get out of customs in Mexico, in DR, in anywhere that you go, and you've got all these vendors. You got hallways of vendors that are trying to reach, or trying to get your attention. Be like, hey, sir, come take my taxi, or hey, come take my transportation. We don't want your guests to deal with all that overwhelm, and we don't want them to have to make that choice, and we definitely don't want them going and picking a random vendor, and we don't know how much they're charging them, and we don't know where they're taking them, and we don't have any contact info. So this way,
Exactly.
yeah, this way when we
Travel
schedule it, we are able to manage that entire process for your guests, so that you as the couple don't have to.
travel days are long and hard, even without delays, even without anything else. We don't want our clients to walk out of the airport and not know what they're doing, because some of the cities, there are people hustling, they're hustling. They will say, oh yeah, it's this much to go there. Oh, but now we have to wait. Oh, you want to go now? Here's more.
Yep.
We
By
don't,
the way, by the way, we live in Fort Lauderdale. It's the same here.
it
It's
is the same here. It's the same here. I live 2 minutes from the airport here, and those cabbies will shake me down.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
They will. And sometimes I'll pay it for the convenience, but we don't want that on your vacations. So
Absolutely, absolutely. Let's talk a little bit about types of transfers. So we know that we book the transfer for the guests, but there's a lot of different types of transfers that we can do out there. There's a group transportation or a hotel provided transportation. And those ones are usually like the large group where everyone's getting on a bus, they're waiting for, they're waiting to fill up the bus, they're waiting to get it, halfway full before they actually leave. And then they're stopping at multiple properties, and it takes 4 hours to get to where you're going, right? That is not something that we want for our groups. That's not the experience that we want for our guests. They are already on edge because they've probably been up since super early in the morning, and they might have had some layover somewhere, and they just want to get to their damn hotel, right? It's so with our groups, we book private group transportation. And what that means is that if you have 10 people arriving on the same flight from your group, those 10 people are going to be put onto a transfer, taken directly to your hotel, dropped off at the front door, right? I think that's one of the things that really sets us and our services apart from maybe some
No
other.
stops, no strangers.
No stops, no strangers. I love that. We don't want any surprises. We don't want, we don't want someone stopping and saying, "Oh, we're going to take this way, and there's an extra toll fee. Oh, by the way, you have to pay that." No, that's not how we're going to operate things. We're going to go directly to the hotel. We already know what's coming up, and they should be going directly there, right? So I guess then, it's, yeah, private group transportation sounds great, but how the hell are we paying for this? Like, it sounds so expensive for the entire group, but it's really not. And I think the nice thing about the way that we manage our transportation is the guests never really feel the fee for transportation. It's when we talked in, a couple episodes ago about the Appy Couple site and how we build that out and how the rates are listed in there. Those rates have transportation built directly into it, right? And so it's a way for us to keep it even for the group. It's a way for us to say, okay, no matter where you're coming from, no matter how you're arriving, your transportation is going to be this much. It's built into your rate. You don't have to worry about it, right? That's and kind of to the same point that you were saying before, Nikki. That's when it comes to a that we're picking up and we're getting a cab and we don't know how much they're charging and whatnot. There's none of that variation there, right? It's so then I guess let's talk how we schedule them. And Nikki, I know you have a lot to say on this one, on how this goes. So walk me through how the scheduling process goes for transportation.
So the scheduling process for your group's transportation is going to start, I start working on it probably 45 days prior to departure. And that's when we start getting flight information. Each person is scheduled according to their arrival flight. Even if flights are coming in 2 minutes by each other, no, we're not going to combine you because that one might get in early, one might be delayed. So I do a manifest with everybody arriving by date and time, color coded all the way down. It's any special, oh, we need a car seat. Oh, this person is elderly or older, might need more time getting to their transfer. That way we know our guys in the ground will look out for them and still expect them, even if they are taking a little bit longer. Or say we have some family members that are very, very nervous to travel, very, very nervous. Sometimes we get on the phone with them and call and say, we're going to walk them through. Here's how you meet your driver in Cancun, because that's one airport where as soon as people walk out the door, everyone stops right there. They just stop.
It's insanity if you don't know what's going on. Yeah.
So we collect the flights, and as we are doing that, we're checking your dates for your flight to make sure you booked your flight on the right date. This happens sometimes people and sometimes they're leaving early, but we're going to schedule each guest according to their arrival and according to their departure. And we like to have the flights like 30 days before, but understanding some people don't buy their flights that soon. So we keep in contact with our vendors. We make the changes as necessary. Flights change. We might cancel. We might find a better flight. We're going to make those changes with our vendor to know that our guests are arriving and they're expected when we've let them know they're going to be there.
By the way, do not, just full disclaimer, do not wait to 30 days to book your flight. Like, it's you're taking a huge risk there.
They don't get cheaper.
It used to be the case, that you wait and the flight might dip down. And you know what? It may happen, but 95% of the time, it's not going to happen. And
Right.
you're going to end up not getting a flight or, having to come.
Or
Yeah.
two connections.
Yeah, exactly. That's so I don't even like one connection. Don't give me two.
I even with that I will send your guests pictures of the actual guys at the airport they will meet in their uniforms. Here's where you find them. I have diagrams. I have a video.
Yep.
I have pictures with my luggage in there. We schedule your guests on transportation that we schedule for ourselves.
Mhm.
It is the same as we schedule for ourselves. And Jody and I are moms here, so we're particular about the cars we put ourselves and our families into.
Mhm.
So,
Right.
it
Right. And that's
the
what I was going to say is just knowing the professionalism of the vendors that we partner with. Um, it's just so nice knowing that it's scheduled ahead of time. I don't have to worry about it. And your guests, I mean, we all know that this whole event is about the bridal couple and
Mhm.
they need to feel special too. But what about your guests when they walk out and there's the driver standing there with a sign with their name on it?
Mhm.
How special that makes them feel.
Mhm.
I know I
Absolutely.
love that.
yeah,
Yep. It's our vendors that go up, above and beyond to make sure that everything goes smoothly, that everyone feels taken care of. And that brings
Right.
up a good point, Jody, is, it's preferred vendors. We are not going out there with every group and shopping a new vendor and trying to find, what works. We are going with vendors that we have vetted over time. We've worked with dozens, if not hundreds of times before.
Right.
And we make sure that we know who is getting you there. I not only want to know, you know, so and so DMC transfer company. I want to know that that person is hiring, trusted, respectable, bonded, insured
bonded and
people.
insured,
Yeah,
Right.
bonded and insured,
you know,
bonded and insured.
yeah. People who we know are going to get your guests there safe. We don't want to be second guessing if they get in an accident. We don't want to know that, we want to know that they're going to be taken care of, that, everything's going to be okay. These are all realities when you're talking about getting into a car and transferring somewhere, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
matter where you are. It's if you get in the car and go to the grocery store, those are things that you want to be thinking about. So it's, our preferred vendors are all vendors, whether we're in Mexico or DR, anywhere that we have that we travel on a regular basis for, we make sure that we have a vetted vendor there that we can trust, that will get your guests there, and we don't have to worry about, any of the riffraff that's involved in that, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So let's talk about, there's a couple different things that we do, and Nikki, you've mentioned a couple of them here. Let's talk about what we do to prepare the guests for their transfer, right? Because inevitably in every group we have some guest that reaches out and says, I don't know where to go for my transfer. What information have we probably already given them to make sure that they're ready for their transfer?
What have we given them?
Yeah.
Well, each group gets a digital itinerary sent out. This is probably going to get out to the group 25, 30 days,
Mhm.
before travel. They will get a printed sheet in their
Mhm.
documents with the instructions laid out, the name of the vendor, the vendor's logo, who to contact, WhatsApp, their phone number, what to do if, say, you're held up.
Mhm.
They'll say, okay, send one person from your party out to tell them, hey, we're waiting on luggage. So digital itinerary will come first.
Mhm.
A printed copy will come, and then several days before travel, I send everyone a bon voyage email, and that's going to have it all the same information for the third time coming to
Mhm.
your guests. And then, of course, if you have questions, sometimes people just reach out. They can get it from me directly. We will also follow up with their lobby pickup times for their departure.
Yes.
The transportation vendor does this as well, but we do it too, just in case there's changes that we need to make. Oh, they've changed their flight, they've extended their stay, we're not going on that. You know, we need to adjust this. So we have a lot of touch points for the transportation for our guests. Probably too many for some of them because they're annoyed, they travel all the time, but Aunt Helen doesn't.
Yeah.
For one of the shortest parts of your trip, it probably does take some of the most prep, because
Yeah.
I think it's what people are most nervous about, most
It
unsure
takes
about.
more time to schedule the transfers than it does to book a room.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a tiny bit of the experience, but it causes a lot of people a lot of anxiety, you know? They
Yep.
don't know what's happening, it's unfamiliar, you know,
Hmm.
nerve-wracking.
So, Jody, you've been with us for a while now. So, when it comes to transportation coming in and special requests that come in that's with transportation, can you give us some examples of maybe some of the special requests that we get?
Um, Probably the most requested is car seats for
Hmm.
kids or a wheelchair accessible
Hmm.
vehicle. If that's not pre-scheduled, you're not going to have access to that.
Yeah, it's not just showing up with a, with a wheelchair accessible. There's a couple different things that we need to take into consideration when we have someone that's traveling that has special needs. Is, are they able to climb up into a vehicle? Most likely they're going to be put into one of the vans, right? And when they get one of the vans, there is a step up into that vehicle. If
Right.
they're handicapped but they can take the step up, they're going to get the regular vehicle. If they can't take the step up, and they, especially if they have a wheelchair and they're wheelchair bound, we need to make sure that there's a wheelchair accessible vehicle that's there and ready to go with them. If you don't request it, it's not there, and we might be able to get one there day of, but chances are no.
Right.
They're not standing by.
No.
But even
Right.
even so, sometimes we have people that, my uncle walks with a cane.
Hmm.
He's fine. He can walk with a cane, but he can't do any stairs. So if you tell me he can't do any stairs, we need to schedule him for a low,
Hmm.
you know, low
Low entry
entry
vehicle. Hmm.
car.
Right.
And that's fine. We'll do that. But say we don't know that, or they just booked El Cheapo transfer and
Right.
they're waiting for them to be on a big shuttle bus and he's got to climb up 4 stairs and walk to the back. We don't want that for our
any
clients.
any of the transfer companies that we're working with, we're not working with transfer companies that have 2 3 vehicles in their fleet. We have a transfer company, all these transfer companies that have entire fleets of vehicles, all the way, from a little sedan all the way up to a bus if we need it, right? So that's, we do most likely have any vehicle that we would need for your group, but we need to know ahead of time all of these things. Otherwise it's the gray area, and then people are disappointed when they arrive. So the more, the special requests that come in, we're happy to receive them, because that means that we're able to prep and prepare for it.
Well, and you talk about the different size vehicles. This is probably my favorite special request is the excess baggage. I'm a light packer. I take bare minimum, but if you feel you need to bring absolutely everything with you, we will get you a car for that.
It is hilarious. I think, in travel, we must just get jaded with, with checking bags, and,
Yes.
we're constantly going from hotel to hotel. So we travel as light as we can, right?
Oh,
Well, not
everything.
Nikki, not Nikki, but for the most part. But guests do not. I always think when guests have excess luggage, I always think of the scene from Titanic when she's showing up and they're unloading the entire car of
Yes.
luggage. I'm like, why do you need all? You're going to a resort. You're going to be in a swimsuit and, something nice for dinner.
Well,
Yeah.
we've had that before. Sometimes we have, clients of our groups and the weddings in the DR. And a lot of them are from the DR and they have family in the DR. So they're gonna take a bunch of gifts
Yes.
for, they're not coming back with everything, but they're bringing stuff for their family.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, so that little car is it's
Nope.
okay.
And
If
and
if
I
we
think
know, if we know, we know with that. If not, they'll call me up and say, "Hey, Nikki, they showed up. They have 14 bags. We had to put
Mhm.
them in a blah blah blah." I'm like, "Okay,
Okay,
just take
charge us.
them."
That's fine. I think I think one of the other things that we do, especially for our couples, is our couples are usually traveling with a little bit. They do usually have a little bit more stuff, right? They have,
Right.
maybe a couple things for the welcome event that they're bringing, or they've got a dress or a tuxedo, or something like that. That
Gift bags, the
gift
part
bags, yeah.
favors.
So usually for our couple, even if they are arriving on the same flight as other guests, they're probably getting put into a separate vehicle just so
Yeah.
we can make sure that they have all the room that they need to get their
Yeah.
stuff there. Because we do know that, more times than not, they might have some excess luggage. It's cool. Okay, so then Nikki, you kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, but I think one of the biggest complaints that we ever receive on transportation is one that's completely out of our control. Yeah. So with transportation, I think one of the things that we hear a lot from guests is, hey, my flight is at 3 o'clock. This transfer company is coming to pick me up at 10:30, 11 o'clock. Why is my transfer so early? Right. So, this is actually something that's a little bit preventative and something that they want to make sure, we're being compliant with, is these transportation companies are required to get your guests there 3 hours ahead of your flight. That is when you're supposed to be at the airport for an international flight. And so they want to make sure they're guaranteeing that you're there. And so because of that, they, with drive time, we also have these companies that are constantly on the road. They know where there's construction, they know where there's backups, they know where there's delays. And so they're planning so that you're there at the hotel 3 hours ahead of time. Nikki, why do they do that?
Why would they do it? Because they don't want you to miss your flight.
Yeah.
We use vendors that, should something happen, they can't get you there on time, they will put you in a taxi. They will let us know and they will cover the expense.
Mm-hmm.
We use vendors that will, if something happens, they get a flat tire and you miss your flight, they will pay for your ticket.
Mm-hmm.
They take ownership like we do. Service is provided. You have to be there 3 hours before. No one likes it. No one likes it. Of course, I'm not checking any luggage. I have, TSA pre-check. I'm all this. I'm a frequent whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Them's the rules. You got to be there 3 hours. So, just sink in and go get a snack at Wolfgang Puck's bar.
Yeah, absolutely.
But they do know the busier. They do know, okay, travel time to the airport might only be X amount, but is there like a bottleneck of people trying to get into the airport terminals at that time of day?
Just peak times. They know the peak times. Yeah.
These are professionals, just you have to trust them, like that they know what they're doing. They do that 24/7. How many passengers could they even, like it's mind-boggling, but they know that's the time. So just try not to schedule that 8 a.m. departure when you're in Riviera Maya.
Oh, I've made that mistake.
The day after the wedding. Don't do it.
The worst. The day after the wedding and you're waking up at 3 a.m. to go to the airport. That is no. That's schedule your flight in the afternoon on the day after the wedding. I've made that mistake. I will never make it again.
I don't do that.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah.
No, not me.
So then I guess, on that same note, let's talk about, we were talking about delays and, flat tires and things like that. Listen, things go wrong sometimes, right? It doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. Things sometimes do not always go according to plan. What is the benefit of booking your transportation through us instead of like an Expedia that you're booking your transportation on? What are some of the things that we do to make sure that when things go wrong, it's handled?
Something goes wrong, we are literally standing by on WhatsApp. So if something goes wrong, let's say, okay, they got a flat tire or the car broke down, something. They'll call us up and they'll say, we're going to send in someone else. They're going to be there. They'll be there in 15 minutes, or they're going to be there in 20. Do they want to wait, or would they rather get in a taxi? And we'll cover the costs. So we keep in constant communication while our groups are in travel. Again, if you're getting up at 3 a.m, might be a little slower to get a response, but we definitely work closely with them. And you want to make changes, say, oh, we added a night. Okay, can you reschedule me? Yes, I can. If you have it just booked through, whatever cheapy shuttle, they're going to say, no, sorry, you need to book a new shuttle. We're going to work on that for you and your guests. So
if you can even get a hold of someone there.
That's
one of the things, and I'm going to do a big shout out to you guys is I know we've been on meetings and one of your phones will ring or Nikki will get a WhatsApp and you know the travelers by first name and you get right on the phone to the transportation and they know you by first name. That to me is impressive.
Yeah.
Expedia, not to throw that name under the bus, but they don't know and they don't care who you are.
Yeah,
Yep.
you don't.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to get the same person on the line.
No.
We're not
Yep,
calling
you
to
know.
some generic line. We're not
Yeah.
talking to some random person. We are talking to our contact that knows and trusts us, that, you know, we are working together towards the same
Right.
goal of making sure
Yeah.
that everyone has a great experience, right? It's
And you know, I mean, like I said before, I'm particular. I'm particular.
Yeah.
And I have critiques. So we're not going to use. We have stopped using vendors
Mhm.
because in certain destinations
Yes, we have.
something happened with their service,
Mhm.
Right.
and sorry, we'll cut you off.
Yep.
We want our clients, we want your family and friends, we want everyone to have the, you know, the smoothest journey possible and safest always. And expectations, you've already paid for your transportation. You've already paid. You will not be asked for additional money. Now,
Mhm.
we like that you tip them because they do work hard, but
Right.
they're not going to do for additional money. And if they do, you turn around and WhatsApp me right now because
Yeah.
I'll take care of that.
Absolutely. That is why someone has gotten cut off in the past. But but
No
it's,
shakedowns.
absolutely. And kind of what you said there, Nikki, we, you know, and actually what you said in the beginning of this episode is we wouldn't put you on a transfer that we wouldn't put our own friends and family on. We want to, you know, it is part of our 5-star concierge style service is making sure that your guests are treated just like our guests would be treated if we were traveling, right? So I think that's, you know, that's just one of the points that I always like to stress with the transportation. It sounds like such a simple thing, but it really is not. There's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot of communication that goes into it. And, you know, God bless some of these, you know, couples that do all their planning on their own. Fantastic. But you don't think about some of these details of, you know, then you're on the phone with the transportation company if you've booked transportation for your group and you're the one that's navigating all that and you're speaking to random people because you don't have a, you know, a direct contact and the relationships with those companies. So it really is one of the larger added value pieces that comes with booking with a professional, with booking with Destination Weddings Expert, is some of these services.
And you know, the groups are pre-booked and it's already done. So this wasn't our group, but so, you know, sometimes guests are not quite perfect with the name of the resort.
Mm-hmm.
So if they go out to the cab and say, I'm going to Secrets, blah, blah, blah,
Mm-hmm.
oh, they might take you to the wrong Secrets.
Yeah.
Because there's a bunch of them.
Yep.
There's a bunch of those hotels, and this was not our group, but they're at the wrong, and they're trying to check in, and they're not at that resort. They're at a different one. So,
It does happen.
what do I do now?
Yeah.
Get back in a cab? Get back in a transfer?
Yeah.
By the way, get back in the cab and pay them again.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And figure out which one you're going to.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, ladies, thank you so much for joining me on this conversation today. This is, you know, these are just some of the things that we like to highlight in our services because it's things that people don't think about, situations that people don't think about, you know, factors that people don't think about.
And we don't want you to have to think about it.
And we don't want you to have to think about it.
We don't want you to.
Yeah. All right. Perfect. Thank you so much. Ladies, you have a great day. We will talk to y'all soon. Thank you so much for joining us. Want to learn more or ready to schedule your complimentary consultation? Follow us on Instagram at Destination Weddings Expert or visit our website at destinationweddingsexpert.com.